Yo, Rich, man, thanks for coming in and doing this with me, man.
No worries, Mike G.
Yo, mad respects, man. Right now, like your interviews are on fire, bro.
Respect.
Let's start with that, because obviously you're multifaceted. You're doing a lot of different things. But right now, I feel like in the culture, like your interviews are top of mind when it comes to Toronto interviews, man. So
Appreciate that, bro.
tell me, what was the inspiration for On the Ones, man?
Honestly, like even we're speaking about off camera, I've always been kind of like a fan of interviews. Just before I was doing them as a kid growing up, always been kind of just into it. So especially within the hip hop space, because that's like primarily what like my main focus is, like day to day what I watch. So I noticed a while back there was a void of like accurate coverage of the scene going on here. So initially I had started a podcast like 2000 maybe 15, but it wasn't with people who were necessarily that connected to the hip hop space. So we used to talk about like general topics and shit. Then I'd probably say we stopped doing that, and then I'd probably say 2017 I had the idea to do this. I had a name and everything on the ones. I'd planned to do it with a couple people at first. This didn't work out. Stopped again, and then recently this third attempt of getting it like up and going, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna really like buckle down now and take it seriously and see if I can do it. 'Cause I never really tried doing it, like fully tried to sit down with somebody, have a one-on-one interview on camera. Like I always thought I could do it, but I didn't know if I could.
Yeah.
So I just fucking took a shot at it, and I'm doing it for a few months now. It's going well.
For real, man.
Yeah.
I know, like you have some like amazing interviews so far in such a short period of time, man. Obviously, like Bully, R.I.P. Bully. Like I watched that interview I watched the interview like 3-4 times in a row, man. You know what I mean? The Bizloke interview, of course. Watch that. That was a great and insightful interview.
For sure.
Yeah, man, and even the Bugs interview too, right? Like, yeah, man. So talk to me about your style, man. Like, how did you get that interview style like down pat?
I wouldn't even say it's down pat, man. Like I'm still figuring shit out. But I don't know. For me, maybe I grew up like watching interviews like as a kid, even before like pre-Breakfast Club, Hot 97. I was big into like 2020, 60 Minutes, Dateline. I used to listen to a lot of Howard Stern, and that kind of stuff back in the days. And even like I remember shit called what was it called, Inside the Actor Studio, with a guy named James Lipton, and documentary. So I watch a lot of like in-depth style conversations take place.
Okay.
So I think when I had the idea to start doing my own, I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I don't want to ask like general questions. I don't want to ask like the cliche like, who do you listen to? Who's your favorite? Who's your top 5? Like I didn't really want to go into that. I wanted to do a more in-depth take, and my goal was really to humanize people, man. Like to really sit down with these guys and get to know who you are as a person first, like outside of rap music. Like I want the people to hear this and be like, okay, I kind of get who that artist is, like as a man or as a woman. So I kind of came into it with that objective, and based on the stuff I've been watching, it was always kind of like that long format approach is what I planned to do and what I wanted to do. So I guess that's where my style comes from, kind of being a fan of that type of shit.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
So like right now, like obviously you had like a lot of success in a short period of time.
Yeah.
What do you contribute that to?
It's a good question. I think maybe like one of the things that I hear a lot is like people can kind of tell the like authenticity within the conversations. Like usually sometimes when I speak to guests, like they at the end they'll be like, yo, I forgot I was even doing an interview. Like we're just chopping it up. Yeah. So I think that maybe that's what resonates with people. Like they don't feel like they're being interrogated. Like I feel like I try to have just like same conversation I would have if I seen them somewhere and we linked up. I try to make it like a similar style conversation. Like I just want to talk to you about what's going on, have a normal conversation. So I think maybe that people, it's refreshing to people to see that style of interview. And trying to be consistent. Like I'm trying to consistently get like quality interviews. And I prep, man. Like I think maybe that's part of it. Like I don't just go there and like freestyle. Yeah. Like I try to keep it natural, but at the same time I know what I want to talk about beforehand. Like I have a rough idea, and then I just let the conversation takes me where it takes me. But like I take it seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Does that come from like, because even on your IG, like I see you doing like freestyles and stuff like that.
I've been getting money since grade 6, finding things to flip to turn a profit. Honestly, I ain't changed since. I had 200K, I could have bought me some change shit. Instead, I bought some property. My daughter became rich.
Right? Does that come from? Are you like an artist too? Do you kind of relate to the artists and kind of what they're doing and what's kind of in their mind?
I wouldn't say I'm an artist now. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I was at one point. Like I used to put up, like actively be in the studio putting out music. I had videos on YouTube that did really well and shit. Like I took them all down since. I think that's a part of it too. Like I can relate to like the artist side of things because I was somebody who's like actively in the industry, but I don't consider myself one now just because I don't. The actual I love music and I love rap, but I don't like the rap industry. Like I don't like everything else that comes with it.
Yeah.
So I kind of put that on the back burner and I enjoy the media side more. But I do think that's part of it. Like it has like I can kind of have a common ground with them that way.
Yeah, because even your beat selection for your freestyles, man, I can tell. Like I'm a big Rockefeller fan as well. I'm just guessing right now, but you know, like it feels like you're a big Rockefeller like that. In that whole, you know.
1000%.
So yeah, my question is like, who do you like better, like Jay-Z the rapper or Jay-Z the entrepreneur? Like what inspires you more?
What inspires me more is definitely Jay-Z the entrepreneur. Like I Jay's probably my favorite rapper, but his blueprint of how he actually like maneuvers through life, that's what inspires me. You know, just that transition of like where he came from, how he navigated the music industry like without lack of like formal knowledge and like putting all your people in position to get money. Yeah. And then coming back as like an elder statesman now and talking to the kids about this is how I did it and this is what I think you should do and shouldn't do. Like his Jay-Z's like mentality is what I appreciate. So yeah, I would definitely say that, like the entrepreneur business side is like resonates more with me as a man for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of the entrepreneurial side too, obviously, you know, like you have different ventures that you're doing, right? So obviously Cash Feelings is one of the biggest, you know, clothing brands in the city right now. Yeah. And so talk to me about that and how that came together, man, and what you're doing. Yeah, Cash Feelings.
Yeah, for sure. So I had been like dabbling in clothing for a while, like probably when I was doing music heavy. This is like 2009, 10. I was putting out merch, making shirts, making clothing outside of music, doing decent, like having little successes, fucking up, doing okay. Yeah. And then in 2000, I want to say 15 or 16, I met who's now my business partner. It's a funny story, bro. I literally just seen someone. We had like a mutual friend on Instagram. I didn't have him on Instagram. Yeah. Someone on my Instagram posted at the toque with the logo. Okay. And I seen this logo of what is now our logo. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And I think he tagged the person who made it. So I just DM'd the person. I'm like, yo, this is dope. Like, pull up, drop one off, or I want to buy one. Yeah. So the person just pulled up. And then I asked him, like, yo, what's your plan with this business? Like, what's going on with this? Like, I never heard of this before. He's like, yo, this is my first batch of hats I just made. I'm like, this logo is hard. Like, I kind of know how to do some shit, like, in the business world. If you ever need someone to fuck with, like, come holler at me. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, cool, bro. And then that was that. It was in my parking lot, just randomly. And then we seen each other a few more times. We realized we had mutual friends. And I kept being like, yo, fam, like, what are you dealing with? Like, what's going on with this fucking, that logo, bro? He's like, yo, fam, I'm just doing my thing. I don't know. And then, like, maybe a year later, I think he fucking messaged me or fucking on Instagram or some shit. Like, yo, bro, do you still want to do that shit? And I'm like, yeah, come forward to my condo. Let's talk. Let's chop it up. And so he came. I kind of see where his head was at with the business. He seen where mine was at. And, yeah, from then we just been rocking. That's like going on 4 years now. Yeah. So talk to me about, like, the tactics that you're using in order to get it to where it's at now, man. Because a lot of people in Toronto have clothing brands, right? But, like, you know, we saw it on a lot of different people. Like, what was your strategy and getting that out to the people? So initially, like, our initial strategy was, like, not to get ahead of ourselves. So we wanted to start with the hats. Because the conversation we kind of had was like, yo, I don't want to do too much too fast. So let's use the hats as kind of like a poster, like just to get people familiar with the logo and just push the shit out of these hats because it's easier to make. Yeah. There's not so much like production and behind the scenes shit, sizing and all that kind of shit you have to figure out. So we started with the hats, went hard, like attacked stores in Toronto, like shout out Brims. They showed us love, like right off top. They fucked with it. And a bunch of different other stores after that. And So from that, this was around, I want to say 2017, when the underground rap scene was like really like hitting like a crazy stride. And I was watching these young kids like gain so much notoriety and like an authentic fan base. So I'm like, yo, if we're in that it's again kind of coming from that J mentality. Like this hip hop space and this fashion space has so much like intersectionality, like it connects. So why not like combine those two worlds? You know what I mean? So I started reaching out to people. A big help for us at the time was definitely K-Money in them.
Yeah.
Like, so I just hit them up and said, yo, like I'm fucking with the music. This is like when Come Outside probably just dropped.
Okay.
Nigga, come outside, just come outside. These niggas say they gang bang, they don't come outside. It's overwhelming, it's overwhelming. All these ops dropping, it's overwhelming.
And I told him I'm fucking with the music, you know, I have some drip. Just showed him the pictures. And he was like, yeah, send me some shit. And I'm like, nah, fam. Like, you know, I'm going to pull up. Like, let's chop it up.
Yeah.
And at first he was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What the fuck was this?
Yeah, who's this guy want to come
see me? I want to come pull up.
Yeah.
But then eventually I did. And then we became cool. You know, we started chopping it up. And they supported the fuck out of our shit. They used to wear it in all their videos.
Yeah.
Like, I used to come to their studio sessions and just vibe out. And I saw like how much that helped to push our brand. And then we started just taking a similar approach, but like making sure that if we reach out to people, it's people that we truly like believe in and like fuck with. Like they're taking their shit dead serious. And we believe in their music, no matter where they're from. Like, and we wanted to make it a point that it's not about, we didn't care what area we're from. Like, I don't have any ties to any block or area or affiliation. It's just about who's making the good music, man. So if you're making good music and taking yourself seriously, and we believe and genuinely just fuck with your music as the owners of the brand, we try to connect. And if we can figure something out where you need clothes or you need some drip and we need a look, or we can just nurture and build our relationship, like I can help you with this. And that's kind of how it started from there, man.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So like, where did this entrepreneurial side of you come from, man? Like, what inspired you to, what's shaped your mind to look at the world a certain way, to be like, I can make this, I can, look at, I can look at this situation, and be like, okay, these things need to come together. How did that spark? Where did that come from?
I think a few different things. Like for me, I've kind of always been like that, to be honest. Like since I was a kid, I was always like, I was the kid that was always like trading shit in school, or like having garage sales all the time, or like just like a hustler kid. I was always trying to make money. Like people used to always like make a joke, like I would go somewhere with like no money and come home with like 2 bills. Just somehow, some way, I would figure out a way to make money. So I've always kind of been like that. And then I did shit like just, shoveling snow, mowing lawns, fucking selling things online when it became a thing. Like always just trying to find a lane and how to like just flip shit. Like I was obsessed with flipping things and like turning like something that doesn't exist into like a tangible like item you can sell, or just seeing money from an object that someone might not want around the house, that kind of shit. And then I saw my dad, actually, he was managing a furniture store at the time, and he quit his job. This is like in his 40s, must have been, right? So like to do that at that age is a pretty fucking brash like move. You have kids, you have a family, like so when he quit his job, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how are you gonna quit your job? How are you gonna survive, And I watched him turn that situation into a successful business, like just from fucking figuring shit out, trying shit, and just taking that risk. And I watched it work for him. So I think that kind of like cemented it in my mind that like that's possible if you like take the time to really, really like do your due diligence and figure out how the inner workings and the logistics of shit work, and you're passionate about what you're doing, that it's possible. So I think that kind of like pushed me extra hard down that entrepreneurial like lane type shit.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Because even right now, there's like in Toronto, there's a lot of artists out there that are making music, right? But my question is, how could you, if you're an artist right now, how would you, using your mind and using your insights, how would you make money by making art, like making music in the city today in 2020?
I think the people who are making money in the city kind of have it figured out. Like there's a handful of people who are making decent money in the city, whether people know it or not. And to be honest, the main thing is just figuring out streaming, man. Like right now, if you figure out how to stream properly, and really do your research on how the streaming work, how the payouts work, playlists, like that game works, and you have like you had a solid fan base just in Toronto or whatever your fan base happens to be, you can do decently financially. Like you can make as much money as the average career person makes a month or more. Sometimes double, triple some of these kids are making. But then you also have the kids who they don't understand the business aspect of it, so they don't even have their own shit up on Spotify or someone else is uploading their music.
Yeah.
They don't think it's important when there's big money in that. So I think the number one thing I would tell these kids is figure out streaming, figure out how it works, who the people you need to contact, like who are the gatekeepers in that world, who controls what playlists and that kind of shit, and tour, man. Like hit the ground and touch these cities and build like organic fan base. Like it's kind of like a grueling process, so not everyone wants to do it, right? Like to go and like perform for 50 people, then next time come back and perform for 100, but that's really the only like real way to do it. You have to touch the road. Yeah.
So speaking of artists, like what artists are you currently listening to from the city right now? Like who you bumping right now in your rotation? Who's in your rotation?
I don't even want to start naming people because I'm gonna forget a bunch of people. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of things, but like, I've definitely been doubling back on that Bully tape, like crazy and like really, really like taking it in. Like that shit was like amazing project made in Austria. Listen to a lot of LB right now.
Big up LB.
French for sure. Burna Bands, Benji, Block Boy. Fuck, a lot of people. I don't want to leave nobody.
Yeah, you know,
a lot of people for sure.
Yeah. So what's the process to get on? Like, say if I'm an artist, I want to get on your platform. You know, I want a Rich Noir interview. What's the process like? How could people like get in front of you and reach out to you?
I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
And it's I tell people like, there is no process. Like I don't have like a standard procedure or like requirement that people have to meet to like come on the platform. Cause like someone hit me up the other day about an artist and they were like, yo, this person has like 200,000 streams and this many followers and shit. Like, are you interested in interviewing them? And I checked them all. I'm like, no, not right now, but like, I'll keep a watch on them and let you know. And they're like, oh, so like so do you have like I forget, they said, do you have like a million play like requirement or something like that? I'm like, honestly, bro, it has nothing to do with that. Yeah. Like I've interviewed people who have like 600 followers. And then I've interviewed people with 100,000 followers. I don't give a fuck about like clicks and plays and verified. I don't like, to me, it's about the story. So if I don't feel like it's time for like, because with me, it's going to be like kind of your life story. You're sitting down going from like your birth to now. So two things have to be in place. You have to have a story that like I'm interested in even like sitting to talk about. Yeah. Or else the interview is not going to come off right. And it has to be the right time for you. Like if I don't think this is like, you're kind of on the brink or like not the height of your success, but you're like on the right level of your incline, it's not time. Like let's wait until you're there. Yeah. So it can be way more impactful. Yeah. Because my interview, you can come back again, but there has to be some crazy leap for you to come back and do this type of
like in-depth
interview, right? So I try to tell people like it's not a diss, but like I'll keep watching you, and when it's time, we'll both know it's time. Like you kind of know when
it's time to do it.
Time, like, and it's more about impact than numbers to me. Like if I know the city is like behind somebody and they have 1,000 followers, but they have like an organic fan base that fucks with them and people are consistently talking about them, and their story to me is interesting, I'll sit down with them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Toronto media scene so far? Like in you know, there's obviously players like We Love Hip Hop, like Big Up We Love Hip Hop. There's you. There's a lot of people that are doing different things. There's even me interviewing people too. What are your thoughts on the Toronto media scene right now?
It's good. There's definitely room for growth. Like this is just like the infancy in some forums, in some ways is the infancy of it, because there is, like I said, We Love Hip Hop, shut them out. You're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and there is like a handful of other people who are. Yeah. But like I still feel like there's so much room for people. I feel like people just have to get creative. Yeah. And like in the way they cover the scene. Like not everyone can do the kind of interview I'm doing or your style or We Love Hip Hop. Like they have a very specific niche that they do. Same with you, same with me. So it's kind of about people finding their own unique way to cover these people. And like some things are going on behind the scenes that I know about, but people are finding like creative, different ways to cover the rap scene. So I feel like it's in a decent place. But it's at the very, very, very beginning stages of the growth right now.
Yeah. So what do you think like Toronto looks like in 5 years? Like right now, this is like the infancy. But this in terms of music, media, like everything. What does 5 years look like to you? Like what does the next 5 years in Toronto look like?
What I think?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think there's gonna be a lot of like players that come down, like corporations that come, and they're gonna try to capitalize off what the. If you look at the analytics and like what's happening, the numbers these rappers are doing and shit, people are starting to take notice. So I think you're gonna get a lot more like the complexes are taking a little bit more serious now, and like big corporations like that are gonna partner, which is gonna help grow the scene. There's gonna be some setbacks to it, but I think hopefully at that point you see a lot more crossover, like a lot more people that have done the States, done Europe, built a fan base over there, which will then lead to more people after them coming. So I think that like we're kind of in the stage of figuring shit out right now. And in 5 years, hopefully, there's a more solid blueprint, and there's more media platforms that people can stop to express themselves and get their story out and engage with their fans and shit like that. So I think in 5 years, hopefully, that's what it looks like. Yeah,
because like obviously when you think about like hip hop, you think of big scenes, like big cities in hip hop. You think of like New York, you think of Atlanta, even like Miami had a time. You know what I mean? The South. Do you think we'll get there? Will Toronto be like that new city that people flock to? Like, yo, everything that's coming out of Toronto's hot. Do you think we're on that path?
Definitely. I think people are already, like, when I go places, people are already having that conversation now. Like, when you say you're from Toronto, they're like, oh, shit. Like, we're known now. We're definitely known as a creative hub, like, more than anything. So people know dope shit's coming out of here. It's just that the average person just knows, like, what's on the surface. Like, they know The Weeknd, Tory, Drake, Ray Ray. But I don't think our underground scene has really like propelled to where it's gonna be yet. Yeah. So it's still like, if you really, really follow music, you'll know. But the average consumer, they haven't heard about a lot of these guys yet. But I think it's coming. Like the same like you said with any other hip hop scene where it migrates from the south to the east and all that shit. I think it's coming here for sure, 100%.
Yeah. What about the UK, man? Do you follow any of the UK art, like the grime scene and all those guys?
I do, but not as close as like some of my young boys. Like they're really, really, really in it. They put me on to a lot of people. Yeah. But like I follow it to an extent.
Yeah, because even their scene is pretty. They've been doing it for like 20 plus years now, right? The grime and everything. So they're really they're established group of people as well, right?
But you have to remember they can tour Europe. Like we can tour Europe too, but if you blow up in Europe and then you can go do a show, like your shows all around Europe, I feel like that's one of the major separations that lets UK artists like sustain a career. Because you can go get like a 5 band, you can be doing 2 mil on your YouTube videos, then getting a 5-10 bands a show and tour across all of Europe 30 dates. Yeah, you're not doing that in Canada. There's not a sustainable fan base like there is in Europe to allow you to tour the same way. Yeah, like we have our hit like spots around like Vancouver, Toronto. You'll do like a London, Oshawa. You'll get your Montreals, and you're still not even gonna get that much money as you're getting in the UK. Yeah. So I think that's not a cheat code, but like it's an easier way for artists over there to like actually sustain like a lifestyle and take care of their family. Yeah. It's not so easy.
Yeah, in Canada, it's like we're like one of the largest countries in the world, right? Europe is like you take a train everywhere, you drive everywhere, you're there.
So touring there is so simple too. That's part of it too. You just train around. It's close.
Yeah, I haven't been to Europe. Have you been there yet? Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you have been to London?
Never
been to London.
I went to for where I've been in Europe. I've been to Prague.
Okay, big up Prague. Yeah. Let's check
Poland.
Yeah.
A couple places. Yeah.
Dope, man. What about in the States? I saw you went to LA. You went to Nipsey store. Tell me about that, man. And because obviously Nipsey's been, he's an entrepreneur, like rapper, sort of like same, same bloodline as Jay-Z, I would say. Like, you know what I mean? 100%. And kind of what you fall under. What's your thoughts on Nipsey's impact?
Yo, I was a huge Nipsey fan, man. Like from way, way back. Always, again, the music, but more like who he was as a person, like what he stood for. So like it's fucked up because in LA, like Nip's store was like our fucking, like our hub. Like our first spot we would go to start our day. Yeah. Because just the vibe there was like so like crazy, and like you'd meet so many different people from around the world trying to do their same thing. Yeah. Like I feel like his energy just naturally brought entrepreneurs and creatives like
down to there,
to that space. Yeah. So like even when we were there, like we bucked random people like celebrities and shit, but like we even bucked with AR Paisley.
Oh, for real?
That's how I bucked him at his store. Yeah. Just like in passing. So it's just like and that was like maybe a couple weeks before he passed, I think. So, and you could see like the amount of love, like he had his family members working there, like it was just like a very like family oriented, creative, like this is a dope space, man. So that, like, Nip's impact is like, I feel like just that do it yourself, fucking stay the course, invest in yourself, ownership, you know what I mean, black entrepreneurship, like that kind of shit resonates with me. And I feel like now that he's dead, it's unfortunate, but like it's kind of like now that he's dead, his message is so much bigger. It's unfortunate that had to happen for that to happen, but like he died now, and like you can meet a school teacher now, they know who Nipsey Hussle is, and now they're doing their Google to figure out what it was. So in a way, like it helped the world, but like it's fucked up that it had to happen to someone like Nip, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And even for me too, I was a big fan of Nip. You know, marathon continues for sure, bro. 100%. But speaking of like people passing away, obviously, you know, you interviewed Bully before he passed away too. RP Bully, man. Like, how was that experience, man? Like interviewing him and then finding out the news, like that's like, even for me, this as a viewer, it was like, you know, I was glued, man. Like, how was that experience for you, like going through it and meeting him and doing that?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much, just out of respect for his family. Yeah, you know? Because like that's their story to tell about their loved one and stuff, you know. But for me, it's just, it was unfortunate, man. Like it was somebody who I really like genuinely supported, and genuinely wanted to see win. You know, such like a humble soul. Not just his talent, just his demeanor, you know. Like he was just like a pure, like a genuine person. So yeah, it fucked me up, for sure. It definitely fucked me up. Definitely gone too soon, but again, like just out of respect for his family, I'm not gonna just talk about.
No. This is getting for like, your experience, right? Like, cause you're you know, it's tied into that, man.
For
you know
sure,
what I mean?
For sure. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Our people, for sure, man. But even speaking of like all the stuff that's been going on in the city, man. Like, what's your thoughts on like the gun violence that's been happening in the city, and especially in our hip hop scene too, right? Like, it seems like, you know, it's kind of hitting us the hardest too.
It is, man, and my thoughts on that is it's crazy, man. Like, sometimes it's hard to even like fathom that like the gun violence is happening on this level. But like, I don't know, shit is deep, man. Like, shit is really deep, and at the same time, shit is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of this shit is senseless, you know, and like, it's not called for. It could be prevented if there was like some kind of rational dialogue between people.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, if they met in a room outside of everything, they would be the best of friends.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, you know, but just because of like territorial situations and that kind of shit, it's like, it's unfortunate. There's no easy solution. But it's definitely like an epidemic right now, man. And I don't feel like the right measures are being like taken to like attack it properly by like the people in power.
Yeah.
But it's sad, man. It's sad. So many young kids' lives are being thrown down the drain on both ends, and the people who passed away and the people who are getting locked up behind it, man. So like, just as a black man, I hate to see this shit.
Yeah,
I hate to see it.
Yeah, I agree too, man. And even, you know, beyond that, like the families too, right? The communities,
everyone suffers, man.
Everyone suffers, right? Yeah, man. It's definitely unfortunate that we're going through such a, you know, experience, like, you know, life experience in Toronto like that, man. Like, it's crazy, man.
And it's like, it's usually such young people who are doing these crimes, right? So it's like their brain is not even developed to a point now where they can make like an informed decision. Yeah. Like, a lot of these people, when they're 35, if they're in that exact same situation, they're not going to make the same decision. It's because they're thinking from like a illogical, traumatized, hurt place. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Not to say I understand, but like there's certain factors that people have to consider of why these things are happening. Exactly. It's not just like a fluke that all this shit is happening. Yeah. There's something going on. Like, it's deep rooted, like within the psyche and the mind of these kids. So I think like that's the approach we need to take when we're talking about shit like this. Not putting more police on the street. Like, it's way deeper than police presence. Yeah. And more cops in problematic areas. Like, that's not helping shit. That's just giving people a boost on their paycheck and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, I think that like until people are like really ready to like actively tackle the real issue, when we're dealing with people's psyches and mentality and trauma, that's really taking place in these kids' heads, then you're not going to see a change. Yeah.
Because even in some of your freestyles, like I listen to your freestyles and you touch on it too, right? There's one that you dropped and you're touching on, talking about, the geopolitical stuff that's going on, and even just like, even certain people and like why, people are acting a certain way. Like, can you expound on that a little bit? Like, I know, I know it's a deep conversation, but
no,
like,
100%.
yeah.
Like, I don't know specifically. I talk about it in a lot of shit. So like,
What the greatness of my people, where we from? We're from kingdoms in Africa. They took fathers from their sons. They displaced us and they slaved us, raped our women just for fun. Till we said fuck all that bullshit, started taking away their guns. Now we're free, but we ain't got shit, man. They left us with the crumbs. They promised 400 acres, then they left us in the slums. Y'all complaining about the shootings, where you think they get the guns? Don't talk to me about no traffic. Where you think the crack come from? That they left us disadvantaged and they target us for crime. Oh, I never been arrested, but detained 100 times. I said free my niggas, not cause I support the fucking crime. It's cause jail the new plantation. They want you to do the time. I'm talking laws and legislation. Gotta open up your mind. They want you to have ops. It's how the system was designed. They said we'll make them hate each other. Yeah, we'll conquer and divide. Meanwhile, they just getting richer while we take each other's lives. This black skin is a superpower they could never take. That's why everything we do, they quick to try to recreate. So before you fall into that plan they made for us with hate, remember we come from kings. Don't let them trick you out to a place, nigga.
they want you to believe that we're supposed to be like these thugs and we're supposed to harm each other, but really like we come from kings. If you really do our history about like the Moors, and like who we were like pre-slavery, I feel like if that was instilled to more kids at an early age, that like, yo, you're a king, like you come from king, you're a great person, you know, you're not a piece of shit. Even if your teacher tells you that, oh, if you keep this behavior up, you're gonna go to jail, or if you're constantly being told that you're nothing, like you're not, you know what I mean? And then if you had that, if more parents instilled that self-esteem and that knowledge in these kids' heads of like, no, you come from greatness, actually, like this is your bloodline. Don't let them think that this fucking slave shit is who you are, like you're not worthless. I feel like if more black kids had that knowledge of self, you walk out into the world with a different kind of attitude, right? So that was my main takeaway I wanted people to take. Like, don't let the system or people's like expectations of you trick you out your spot or trick you out of your position, because like you come from like greatness. And the reason that people always want to like copy your sauce and copy your drip, because we're natural born like leaders and creators and innovators. But like take that and do something positive with it. And again, easier said than done, because there's so much systemic shit that stops people from. But I just wanted to have like a little reminder out there, man. Yeah. To be honest.
Yeah, and I feel like you know, like every time you do have a freestyle, there's always a message to it too, right? You're either like talking about issues like that, or you're talking about entrepreneurship. Have you ever thought about getting? Because we had a youth city councilor on Patience. You know, she's a youth city councilor at City of Toronto, so she's actually in city council meetings and making her voice being heard for people like us, right? Would you ever consider like running for anything, or like being in a leadership position where you can talk on these issues and go that route?
Running for something, no, but I am in definitely leadership positions in the community outside of like clothing and that kind of stuff. I do things outside that I don't mix and mingle them, but I definitely work in that space.
Because I saw on your I saw you on your IG. You had like a little clip that you had about going back to your neighborhood. Like,
I grew up in White Hills, went to Wilfrid Jury, so Limberlost was a central hub in my community. That's where I spent a lot of my time playing basketball, hanging out with friends. And so when I seen the parks getting torn down there, I know how important those parks are to the kids. So we just understand the importance of having a safe space.
With the help of donations from their inner circle, they were able to provide a barbecue, games, and activities. The London Fire Department brought a truck, and there was also an Easter egg hunt.
Talk to us about that, man.
Yeah, so like, it's important for like, and that's separate from stuff I do like more formally. Like I do formal things that like help with people at risk, you know what I mean? That's outside of that. But that's personally what I do for like when I go back to London, where I'm originally from. What was happening was that when I went back to like the neighborhood I'm originally from is a place called White Hills. So like I guess you could say that the block in that area is a place called Limberlost. So there was a park that was up there. So when I went back to the park, it was like gone. Like there was like no play equipment. Kids were playing with like garbage bins and shit. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then when I talked to one of my friends who lives in like a similar neighborhood in London, he was saying the same thing here. Like they said they're tearing down the parks to build new ones because it's not safe. But it's been like, I don't even know how long now. There's nowhere for the kids to play. So if you don't have a space for kids to play, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, what do you think these kids are gonna do? They're gonna get in trouble. They're gonna do stupid shit. So we said like, how can we like do something about it? So what we decided to do was like just pool our money together, and then we asked just like our direct friend groups, like, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to throw a big event for the kids. Like it was Easter, just to raise awareness about this park situation, and to show like kids need to have fun. Like kids need to be outside playing. Yeah. This is what it looks like when kids are outside playing. No one's in trouble. They're active. They're social. They're building a bond with each other. This is what we need to happen, you know. And we reached out to people that are involved, like in the city, to say like, hey, what's going on with this shit? So that was our main focus, just to put, I guess, put some pressure really on like the city, not the city council, but the people that are involved, to like, you can't just put this in the back burner. Like I know for some people it's not priority, but for us it is.
Yeah.
Like it's very important for kids to have a safe space to play. So that's why we do it, and we do things like that like in many different communities.
For real, man. Yeah. For real. So I guess that's something that you just do like on the side. You don't even post that up or anything. Like you keep it totally separate. It's
completely separate.
Yeah.
I don't post about a lot of stuff that I do. Like unless it's like stuff like that where like me posting it gets the officials' attention and stuff like that, and it puts pressure on them, then I'll post about it. But like 99% of the stuff that like we do in the community that I personally do like with my work outside of like cash feelings or the interview stuff, no, I don't post about it.
Yeah. So where did that come from? Where did your, where did that drive come from to want to help out, and where did this knowledge come from? Where, like what sparked your mind in order to like go down and start reading about the Moors and doing all that? Like how did you get down in that lane?
I don't know if there's a concrete answer for that. Like I don't think there's one person who kind of like pushed me down that path to learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say probably my generosity, a lot of it came from like my grandmother. Like she was a really selfless person. Like when we moved from here to London, originally London, Ontario, she moved there to help watch me and my sister, because my parents had to work.
Yeah.
So she gave up like her life here to come, and she was just like a generous person, always giving to others. So like my grandmother, my mom, like they're both like very selfless people. So I think that's where that side of me comes from, maybe. And then just the studying on stuff like that. Honestly, I'm just an inquisitive person by nature. So I think just like I was always that kid, like when you tell me something, like why?
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah, you want to know
why? Like tell my parents, like, hey, shut up, like just leave me alone. So I've always wanted to know the why. So when I start seeing like things like systematic oppression and just things going on in the community, again, that why clicked off in my head. And school, like I went to university here. That's why I came to Toronto in the first place.
Okay.
I came back, I went to York.
Oh, dope, man.
So a lot of that came from like knowing things a little bit, but then like actually taking like Black studies and like Aboriginal studies and like learning about the actual like legislative reasons why things are the way they are, and then going outside of that to do my own research. Just like, I don't know, just being curious, schooling, a lot of different things played a part.
Yeah. So like, how was your life growing up as being a child? Like how was Little Rich?
My life? Like, what do you mean? What do you
mean? Like what were you doing on a day-to-day basis? I know you talked about like flipping things and, being like, tricking kids out of their toys and stuff and all that. But like, what else were you into? Were you into sports? Were you into
I don't know. I was a pretty good kid for the most part. I was into sport. I used to play soccer.
Okay.
Competitively. I used to play ball just like in the area and shit. Just like your average kid, man. I used to play sports. I used to rap like in our area, like in that block I was telling you, Nipsey. We used to like rap in the park, like that same park, freestyle, do normal teenage kid stuff, and like I was a decent kid for the most part,
Yeah.
I never used to really get in like actual trouble like that. I used to do dumb shit for sure. Like I don't try to be judgy. Like when I talk about the kids, because I get how kids end up in these situations. Like I did a lot of stupid things as a teenager. That looking back now, I'm like, whoa, like I don't know, like thank God for like, you know what I mean? God was on my side. Life could have went very different for me. So I definitely made some dumb decisions, but luckily I snapped out of that quick enough. And by the grace of God, like, pretty unscathed. So yeah.
Yeah. So what would you give if you were growing up now, if you're 14 years old, looking at Little Rich right now, what advice would you give him to navigate what's going on right now? Like,
what advice would I give my 14-year-old self?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of it, like one thing I'd probably tell myself was like, you don't have to overcompensate. Like I feel like I used to try to overcompensate and be like tougher than everybody else. Like you don't have to be tougher than people. You don't have to be like, at the same time I was smart. I never used to do shit that I would feel like was like senseless. Like I do a lot of dumb shit. I would take risks, but like calculated risk. But then when it came down to like fighting or doing shit like that as a kid, I always wanted to be like, I'll go first. Like I'll do it first.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And I feel like me looking back now, I'll tell them like, you don't have to do that shit. Like that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? That's stupid. Like you should actually not physically harm somebody or fight somebody. It's dumb. But you couldn't tell the teenage me. No one could tell the teenage me that.
Yeah.
I think at the same time, I kind of had to go through those things. Like, you know, doing dumb things, making dumb decisions like a kid does.
Yeah.
But not everyone gets to make those decisions and then just learn from them and go on. Like, you know, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did.
Yeah, man. That's pretty interesting, man. Like how to, you know, you kind of had that experience, but then you kind of saw it and then you kind of went this way, right?
Yeah, but it's important to note too that like a big factor in that is I had like a stable like home environment. You know what I mean? Like my mom worked, my dad worked. I had a stable like pretty middle class like environment, you know?
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's a big part of it too. Like sometimes like when you're on the block and stuff, like you feel like because I'm living like just outside of it, you want to overcompensate and like, nah, I'm tough too. I can do this too. Like you're trying to prove yourself type shit, right? So when you're younger, you go through that, like maybe like when you're like 13, 14 years old. So I think that's part of it too. So that was definitely like a privilege I had that my parents like both had. A lot of my friends didn't have both parents, like none of them really, or like some of the privileges I was afforded, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's definitely part of it.
Yeah. Well, it looked like obviously you took those opportunities and you know, grew them into what you're doing now, man.
Yeah, tried to, for sure.
Yeah, so speaking of that, like what's coming up in 2020, man? Like what can Toronto expect from Rich and the Cash Feelings gang?
A lot, man. Like working on a lot of media shit, like behind the scenes. Some collaborations and partnerships I can't talk about yet, but definitely some things are coming. Cash Feelings wise, dropping a lot of new clothes. I'm wearing one of the new releases we're gonna drop. I don't know when this is gonna drop, but it might be out by then. Called Dues Paid. And then just focusing like on the interviews. Like we're trying to like really trying to elevate like the quality. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if people noticed, but like from the first interview we did to the interviews we did now, there's a jump.
Huge.
There's a huge jump because it's literally just figuring shit out as we go.
Yeah.
Like how I even started to do that, it was like we didn't have the capability to even like my photographer who I was working with at the time, shout out Class, we still work, he's home team. He had a camera and I wanted someone to be able to video, to have it on tape. Like I wanted someone in-house, but we didn't have that camera yet. And once we got that camera, once he showed me a video, he was doing something, like he was interviewing somebody for his shit, Guard Up TV. And I was like, oh, this looks clean. Who did this? He's like, this is my camera. I'm like, oh, you can do that? Like, I think I scheduled an interview like right away.
Dope.
I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we just started doing like that. He just had like a little fucking mic on the camera type shit. So that was one of the biggest critiques. People like, yo, sound. I'm like, I know, just chill.
Yeah.
Got you. Like, it's coming, you know? And then from that, like, we've got 3 cameras now that we film with.
Dope.
Like, you know, lighting, a better space. And like, I think there's one thing I want to point out just too is like any creative who wants to do something, like if you have an idea for like a YouTube show or a podcast or whatever it is, don't wait until shit is perfect to put it out. I think that's the number one like kind of conversation I get to people whenever like they talk to me about like what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do the clothes, but like fuck, I was probably gonna take like 6 months and I'm just waiting to get everything right. Fuck that.
Just
drop
do
it today. Like drop it today, make your mistakes, like take your lumps, figure it out, and in 6 months you'll be in a way better position. And you would have learned so much that instead of wasting the time trying to plan a perfect release for 6 months, it doesn't make no sense. Like, and people will fuck with you more seeing the actual growth. Like, let them see your shit quality video to your decent quality video to your amazing quality video, so they can grow with you, like as a fan base, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to grow organically. by the grace of God, it's going pretty well right now. So we're just taking it day by day, man.
Dope, man. Yeah, like I said, man. Like I watched the Friday interview, and then I went back and watched all the other interviews that you had as well.
Yeah.
Like you started like the brim. You did at Brims, right? You did a couple at Brims, and then you kind of now like you're talking about the 3 cameras. I'm seeing the angles. I'm like, yeah, this is. I can see the transitioning, right? So it's inspiring to see in the space, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, and your work is it's amazing, man. It's phenomenal. I love to see it, man. Love to see that, bro. Last question.
Yeah.
You had to wrap up. You had the 2019 wrap up. You talked about certain artists. Obviously, Bizloke was one of your favorites, and you're talking about F the Self, and he's talking about the POs and all that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a little prediction time. It's January right now. Who do you think is gonna have the biggest year in Toronto in the hip hop scene?
Who's gonna have the biggest 2020?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who I even said in the wrap up. I think I might have said Houdini on the wrap up. To me, it's kind of like an easy pick. Like Houdini and Benji both to me are like stand out. Like the level of music they're making, is crazy right now. So I'm gonna go with someone different because for them, like I'll say Houdini and Benji for sure. Like they're gonna do crazy this year. Who else would I say is gonna have a crazy 2020? French.
Yeah, big French.
Definitely French.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, man. Like it's hard to even say one person's name because a lot of people are like, to me, like on very similar playing fields.
Yeah.
And consistently putting out work at the same pace. So it's hard to just say one person, right? But there's a lot of people. Like I know French is gonna have a crazy year. LB just got the fucking Kylie.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Shout out, which is crazy. Astro Kid and Ty are doing their thing. There's a lot of people who are like, I feel like gonna establish themselves this year. Who's gonna have the best year? Fuck, who the hell knows? Like, I think if Benji drops or Houdini drops soon, yeah, they'll probably have the strongest year.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of people who are gonna have like solid years.
Yeah, man.
In my prediction.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Like, my favorite personally, this off the lyrics is Bizloke.
No, Biz is a lyricist. I was talking to him today about that. Actually.
Yeah, Biz, he's hands down.
He's like, honestly, fam, he's one of the number one like people who like gas me to rap.
Yeah.
Like he's always like fucking telling me like, yo, you gotta step back there, fam. Like, yo, you're not a rapper, but fam, you're rapping better than these niggas. And I'm always like, yo, fuck this rap shit, fam. I don't care about this rap shit. And he's always like, anytime I post something, I know he's gonna hit me up and be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you can rap, nigga. And I'm always like, I know, fam, but fuck. Like, I don't, But he, like, to me, I tell him, like, yo, lyrically, I've said it multiple times, multiple platforms. Like, aside from his personality, how, like, dynamic it is, lyrically, Bizloke is fucking one of the nicest niggas spitting,
Facts.
And I guess it's hard for people to, like, take that in sometimes because he's such a strong personality.
Yeah.
But, like, outside of his personality, the nigga can rap. Like, he can rap. Like, just put him in a booth with put him with a bunch of people in a room and just say rap.
Yeah.
Who can rap the best and put him in front of a judge, I guarantee you, like 10 times out of 10, he out-raps niggas.
Yeah.
That nigga can rap.
No, he can, man. And the guy just bars it up, like no nothing. There's no verses. I mean, no choruses. It's all verse.
He comes from that, right?
Yeah,
He comes from
yeah.
that class of just like rapping.
Yeah, just rapping, man.
Rapping,
yeah. Yeah. And that last track, what do you say? He's like, I'm a crypto-gallist. I'm like, yo, I'm done. I heard that line. Done, bro.
Yeah, shout out Bizloke.
Yeah, shout out Bizloke, man. Shout out Bizloke, man. He's dope, man. But yo, thanks for coming on and doing this with us, man. Really appreciate your time, man.
No, I appreciate it. And like I said, I feel like you do your thing well. Like when I hit you up and told you, like I could tell who you were before even knowing that it was you. You know what I mean? Just because I study shit like that. And we need more platforms like yours. So keep doing your thing, man.
Dope, man. Respect, bro.